Happy Friday, y'all. Friday. I ain't mad about it. I'm looking for something. Looking for a little something here. And I can't find it because this Bible jumps around. I can't look things up in this Bible the way you can other Bibles. I literally can't find what I'm looking for. I need a regular Bible here too, so when I need to look up something particular, I can actually find it. Okay, well, I'll look it up on my phone. Good morning. March 18th. All right, March 18th. Marriage to a captive woman. Not captivating. Deuteronomy 21:10-14. Suppose you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God hands them over to you, and you take some of them as captives. And suppose you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you are attracted to her, and you want to marry her. If this happens, you may take her to your home, where she must shave her head, cut her nails, change her clothes she was wearing when she was captured, so she's now no longer at all what you are attracted to. Just kidding. She will stay in your home, but let her mourn for her father and mother for a full month. Then you may marry her, and you will be her husband, and she will be your wife. But if you marry her and she does not please you, you must let her go free. You may not sell her or treat her as a slave, for you have humiliated her. Rights of the firstborn, Deuteronomy 21:15-17. Suppose a man has 2 wives, but he loves one and not the other, and both of them have given him sons. And suppose the firstborn son is the son of the wife he does not love. When the man divides his inheritance, he may not give the larger inheritance to his younger son, the son of the wife he loves, as if he were the firstborn son. He must recognize the rights of his oldest son, the son of his wife he does not love, by giving him a double portion. He is the first son of his father's virility, and the rights of the firstborn belong to him. Dealing with a rebellious son, Deuteronomy 21:18-21. Suppose a man has a stubborn and rebellious son who does not obey his father or mother, even though they discipline him. In such a case, the father and mother must take the son and the elders as they hold court at the town gate. The parents must say to the elders, "This son of ours is stubborn and rebellious and refuses to obey. He is a glutton and a drunkard." Then all of the men in his town must stone him to death. In this way you will purge the evil from among you, and all of Israel will hear about it and be afraid. Various regulations, Deuteronomy 21:22-22:12. If someone has committed a crime worthy of death and is executed and hung on a tree, the body must not remain hanging from the tree overnight. You must bury the body on the same day for anyone who is hung. For anyone who is hung is cursed in the sight of God. In this way you will prevent the defilement of the land the Lord your God is giving you as your special possession. If you see your neighbor's ox or sheep or goat wandering away, don't ignore your responsibility. Take it back to its owner. If its owner doesn't live nearby, or you don't know who the owner is, take it to your place and keep it until the owners come looking for it. Then you must return it. Do the same if you find your neighbor's donkey, clothing, or anything else your neighbor loses. Don't ignore your responsibility. If you see that your neighbor's donkey or ox has collapsed on the road, do not look the other way. Go and help your neighbor get it back on its feet. A woman must not put on men's clothing, and a man must not wear women's clothing. Anyone who does this is detestable in the sight of the Lord your God. If you happen to find a bird's nest in a tree or on the ground, and there are young ones or eggs in it with a mother sitting in the nest, do not take the mother with the young. You may take the young, but let the mother go, so that you may prosper and enjoy a long life. When you build a new house, you must build a railing around the edge of its flat roof. That way you will not be considered guilty of murder if someone falls off the roof. You must not plant any other crop between the rows of your vineyard. If you do, you are forbidden to use either the grapes from the vineyard or the other crop. You must not plow with an ox or a donkey You must not plow with an ox and a donkey harnessed together. You must not wear clothing made of wool and linen woven together. You must put 4 tassels on the hem of the cloak with which you cover yourself on the front and back and sides. Regulations for sexual purity, Deuteronomy 22:13-30. Suppose a man marries a woman, but after sleeping with her, he turns against her and publicly accuses her of a shameful conduct, saying, "When I married this woman, I discovered she was not a virgin." Then the woman's father must bring proof of her virginity to the elders as they hold court at the town gate. He must say to them, I gave my daughter to this man to be his wife, and now he has turned against her. He has accused her of shameful conduct, saying, I discovered that your daughter is not a virgin. But here is the proof of my daughter's virginity. Then they must spread her bedsheet before the elders. The elders must take the man and punish him. They must also fine him 100 pieces of silver, which he must pay to the woman's father because he publicly accused a virgin of Israel of shameful conduct. The woman will remain the man's wife, and he may never divorce her. But suppose the man's accusations are true, and he can show that she was not a virgin. The woman must be taken to the door of her father's home, and there the men of the town must stone her to death, for she has committed a disgraceful crime in Israel by being promiscuous while living in her parents' home. In this way you will purge evil from among you. If a man is discovered committing adultery, both he and the woman must die. In this way you will purge Israel of such evil. Suppose a man meets a young woman, a virgin who is engaged to be married, and he has sexual intercourse with her. If this happens within a town, you must take both of them to the gates of the town and stone them to death. The woman is guilty because she did not scream for help. The man must die because he violated another man's wife. In this way you will purge this evil from among you. But if the man meets the engaged woman out of the country and he rapes her, and then only the man must die. Do nothing to the young woman. She has committed no crime worthy of death. She is as innocent as a murder victim. Since the man raped her out of the country, it must be assumed that she screamed, but there was no one there to rescue her. Suppose a man has intercourse with a young woman who is a virgin but is not engaged to be married. If they are discovered, he must pay her father 50 pieces of silver. Then he must marry the young woman because he violated her, and he may never divorce her as long as he lives. A man must not marry his father's former wife, for this would violate his father. Regulations concerning worship, Deuteronomy 23, 1-8. If a man's testicles are crushed or his penis is cut off, he may not be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. If a person is illegitimate by birth, neither he nor his descendants for 10 generations may be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. No Ammonite or Moabite or any of their descendants for 10 generations may be admitted to the assembly of the Lord. These nations did not welcome you with food and water when you came out of Egypt. Instead, they hired Balaam, son of Peor, from Pethor in distant Amram Naharaim to curse you. But the Lord your God refused to listen to Balaam. He turned the intended curse into a blessing because the Lord your God loves you. As long as you live, you must never promote the welfare and prosperity of the Ammonites or Moabites. Do not detest the Edomites or the Egyptians, because the Edomites are your relatives and lived as foreigners among the Egyptians. The 3rd generation of Edomites and Egyptians may enter the assembly of the Lord. Miscellaneous regulations, Deuteronomy 23, 9-25, 19. When you go to war against your enemies, be sure to stay away from anything that is impure. Any man who becomes ceremonially defiled because of a nocturnal emission must leave the camp and stay away all day. Toward the evening he must bathe himself, and at sunrise he may return to the camp. You must have designated area outside the camp where you can go to relieve yourself. Each of you must have a spade as part of your equipment. Whenever you relieve yourself, dig a hole with a spade and cover the excrement. The camp must be holy, for the Lord your God moves around your camp to protect you and defeat your enemies. He must not see any shameful thing among you, or he will turn away from you. If slaves should escape from their masters and take refuge with you, you must not hand them over to their masters. Let them live among you in any town they choose, and do not oppress them. No Israelite, whether man or woman, may become a temple prostitute. When you are bringing an offering to fulfill a vow, you must not bring to the house of the Lord your God any offering from the earnings of a prostitute, whether a man or woman, for both are detestable to the Lord your God. Do not charge interest on the loans you make to a fellow Israelite, whether you loan money or food or anything else. You may charge interest to foreigners, but you may charge interest to foreigners, but you may not charge interest to Israelites, so that the Lord your God may bless you in everything you do in the land you are about to enter and occupy. When you make a vow to the Lord your God, be prompt in fulfilling whatever you promised him, for the Lord your God demands that you promptly fulfill all of your vows, or you will be guilty of sin. However, it is not a sin to refrain from making a vow. But once you have voluntarily made a vow, be careful to fulfill your promise to the Lord your God. When you enter your neighbor's vineyard, you may eat your fill of grapes, but you must not carry any away in a basket. And when you enter your neighbor's field of grains, you may pluck the head of grains with your hand, but you must not harvest it with a sickle. Suppose a man marries a woman, but she does not please him. Having discovered something wrong with her, he writes a document of divorce, hands it to her, and sends her away from his house. When she leaves his house, she is free to marry another man. But if the second husband also turns against her, writes a divorce document, and hands it to her and sends her away, or if he dies, the first husband may not marry her again, for she has been defiled. That would be detestable to the Lord. You must not bring guilt upon the land the Lord your God is giving you as a special possession. A newly married man must not be drafted into the army or be given any other official responsibilities. He must be free to spend 1 year at home, bringing happiness to the wife he has married. It is wrong to take a set of millstones, or even just an upper millstone, as security for a loan, for the owner uses it to make a living. If anyone kidnaps a fellow Israelite and treats him as a slave or sells him, the kidnapper must die. In this way you will purge the evil from among you. In all the cases involving serious skin diseases, be careful to follow the instructions of the Levitical priests. Obey all the commands I have given them. Remember that what the Lord your God did to Miriam as you were coming from Egypt. If you lend anything to your neighbor, do not enter his house to pick up the item he is giving as security. You must wait outside while he goes in and brings it out to you. If your neighbor is poor and gives you his cloak as security for a loan, do not keep the cloak overnight. Return the cloak to its owner by sunset so he can stay warm through the night and bless you, and the Lord your God will count you as righteous. Never take advantage of the poor and destitute laborers, whether they are fellow Israelites or foreigners living in your town. You must pay them their wages each day before sunset because they are poor and are counting on it. If you don't, they might cry out to the Lord against you, and it would be counted against you as a sin. Parents must not be put to death for the sins of their children, nor children for the sins of their parents. Those deserving to die must be put to death for their own crimes. True justice must be given to foreigners living among you and to orphans, and you must never accept a widow's garment as security for her debt. Always remember that you were slaves in Egypt, and that the Lord your God redeemed you from slavery. That is why I have given you this command. When you are harvesting your crops and forget to bring a bundle of grain from your field, don't go back to get it. Leave it for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. Then the Lord your God will bless you in all you do. When you beat the olives from your olive tree, don't go over the boughs twice. Leave the remaining olives for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. When you gather the grapes from your vineyard, don't glean the vines after they are picked. Leave the remaining grapes for the foreigners, orphans, and widows. Remember that you were slaves in the land of Egypt. That is why I am giving you this command. Suppose two people take a dispute in court, and the judges declare that one is right and the other is wrong. If the person is wrong who is sentenced to be flogged, the judge must command him to lie down and be beaten in his presence with a number of lashes appropriate to the crime. But never give more than 40 lashes. More than 40 lashes would publicly humiliate your neighbor. I would think 39 lashes would be just as humiliating, but it's that 40th one. Really does it. You must not muzzle an ox to keep it from eating as it treads out the grain. If two brothers are living together on the same property and one of them dies without a son, his widow may not be married to anyone from outside the family. Instead, her husband's brother should marry her and have intercourse with her to fulfill the duties of a brother-in-law. The first son she bears to him will be considered the son of the dead brother, so that his name will not be forgotten in Israel. If a man refuses to marry his brother's widow, she must go to the town gate and say to the elders assembled there, My husband's brother refuses to preserve his brother's name in Israel. He refuses to fulfill the duties of a brother-in-law by marrying me. The elders of the town will then summon him and talk with him. If he still refuses and says, I don't want to marry her, the widow must walk over to him in the presence of the elders, pull his sandal from his foot, and spit in his face. Then she must declare, This is what happens to a man who refuses to provide his brother with children. Ever afterward in Israel, his family will be referred to as the family of the man whose sandal was pulled off. If two Israelite men get into a fight and the wife of one tries to rescue her husband by grabbing the testicle of the other man, you must cut off her hand. Show her no pity. You must use accurate scales when you weigh out merchandise, and you must Use full and honest measures. Yes, always use honest weights and measures so that you may enjoy a long life in the land the Lord your God is giving you. All who cheat with dishonest weights and measures are detestable to the Lord your God. Never forget what the Amalekites did to you as you came from Egypt. They attacked you when you were exhausted and weary, and they struck down those who were straggling behind. They had no fear of God. Therefore, when the Lord your God has given you rest from all your enemies in the land he is giving you as a special possession, you must destroy the Amalekites and erase their memory from under heaven. Never forget this. I am so grateful for Jesus. Every time I read through these chapters, I am more and more grateful for our Savior, because we just cannot live up to these standards. It's impossible under human strength. Impossible. Okay, let's move on to Trim Healthy Mama, 100 Days of Inspiration. We are on day 77. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee. Oh, bugger. That's good. I used chocolate whey protein in my Trimmy mix this time. Good night. It's good. Chocolate coffee. All right, day 77. Stockpiling. Are you facing a difficult trial, suffering an affliction, being persecuted for walking in God's truth? Please don't despair. There is more happening behind the scenes than what you realize. After telling the Corinthian believers about the troubles and persecutions he was facing, Paul states, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us far more exceeding an eternal weight of glory, while we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, and the things which are not seen are eternal." 2 Corinthians 4:16-18. When you are going through a trial, it seems endless, but God reminds us that in the light of eternity, it's only transitory. He also reminds us that it is working for us a great reward in the eternal realm. In fact, he uses 5 adjectives to describe the glory that will be revealed in us. Count them: far, more, exceeding, eternal, weight of glory. The CEB translation says our temporary minor problems are producing an eternal stockpile of glory for us that is beyond all comparison. Therefore, don't keep your mind fixed on your problem. Don't let it consume you. Instead, fix your gaze on the unseen, on the eternal, on what God is working in you. The difficulty you are enduring is only temporary, but the work God is doing in you is eternal. Are you stockpiling for glory? Man, I needed that this morning. I needed that. Keep your own vineyard. Song of Solomon 1:6 says, "They made me the keeper of the vineyards, but my own vineyard I have not kept." Peggy approached us at the ladies' convention where we were speaking. She wanted to purchase our book for her sister, who'd asked her to pick it up. Peggy looked pale, with dark circles under her eyes, and had a slouch to her posture. She had beautiful features, but they were shadowed with the heaviness of fatigue and some extra weight she mentioned had crept up during the last 5 years. We asked her if she had the book herself, and she answered that she'd never have the time to read it. Peggy is a homeschool mom who stays up well past midnight most nights, marking her children's test papers, preparing lessons, writing grocery lists and food menus, and trying to balance their household budget. We tried to speak some life into Peggy's situation and encourage her in the importance of her own health and vitality. We shared that we are also moms of large families who homeschool, but we all must make the choice on how much we take on. We have to know our limits, and more than perfectly graded papers, our children need a healthy mama. They will take away more positives from their childhood by seeing us as a good example of living life with happy energy than mere academic facts, many of which we all forget anyway. I so agree with that. So agree with that. I don't focus on, I grade the stuff that I have to grade because I have to, but I focus on her learning and enjoying learning and not just the grade she gets. She focuses on the grade she gets, and I work really hard to be like, it doesn't matter. Sometimes she'll ask me what she got on a test and I won't tell her, even if it's good, because she gets so stressed out by a grade. Does that even matter? Did you learn something? Yes. Did you enjoy it? Yes. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. That you're learning and loving it. That's it. Giving recklessly. I don't know if it's because I'm one of 5 siblings, or being the oldest for that matter, but I hate not sharing. I don't always feel this way. I may not always want to share my drinks with people or offer them my plate of food when I've already double dipped, but when I buy a packet of nuts from the gas station, I usually like offering it to people in the car. When I go on a trip away from home, I'm more excited about buying treats to bring back to my family than for myself. When I encounter a homeless man, I get a revelation that maybe God allowed me to buy some food, not for myself, but for him. Being the oldest of 5 siblings, I am always asked if they can taste my treat. I am delighted to let someone experience the same taste that I am enjoying. I am always asked if they can play with my phone. They don't have their own smartphones. Why should I keep mine all to myself? They always ask if they can use my guitar. Well, that's not always easy. Please be careful with it. Many siblings feel they have to fight each other to get their fair share, but over the years, fairness has lost its hold on me. I don't care if they get more than I do because it's so much better to give than to receive. Acts 20:35. Oh my gosh. I'm looking for a very specific psalm, and like I said, this is chronological, so I have a psalm that I've been reading repeatedly. So I went to the dermatologist yesterday, and because I have this rash that is been told is eczema, and the eczema meds are not working, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it's changing into this weird bumpiness. And so I went to the dermatologist again. I went back in. I said, I need to be seen. Something's not right. So they took 2 pretty good biopsies. They took 2 chunks out of my legs, 1 out of each leg, and they hurt pretty good this morning. It didn't hurt having it taken out, but glory be, it hurts now. And so I'm waiting today. They think it's one of 2 things. They think it's either very angry papular eczema that needs to be treated differently than how it's being treated, with weekly or bi-weekly injections, which is fine. I found out. Or they think it may be something called lymphomatoid papulosis, which is a form of lymphoma that is not, it doesn't metastasize. It stays surface. It has to be treated, but you have to have like light therapy and sometimes methotrexate and some other less than desirable medications to get it to go away. I, of course, melted down the minute I heard the word lymphoma. I was like, blah, I just puddle in the dermatologist's office. And the dermatologist was like, whoa, slow down. I didn't say it was lymphoma. I said we're checking to make sure it's not. There's a million things it could be. It could be an infection that has gotten out of control that won't calm down, that we have to treat with antibiotics. It could be this lymphomatoid papulosis. It could be other things. He said, calm down. It could be an allergic reaction to the eczema med we're giving you. We will find out. So they're running tests, and he said 50-50 chance that I know today. So I was telling, I was a puddle of nerves, and because that type of stuff, what happens is I go home and Google it, and then I, shouldn't, because Dr. Google is a jerk, FYI. So Bonnie gave me a list of verses. She's like, I want you to go read these. I want you to go read these verses right now. So I did. And I've read these verses before, but they brought me a lot of peace and they brought me a lot of calming, but specifically Psalm 121. And so I've been reading it. I read it last night like 15 times. I woke up thinking about it, and I'm going to read it again this morning. And I truly am calmed down. It truly calmed my heart and calmed my spirit. And whatever it is, it's not the end of the world. And it'll get treated. It's just something I don't want to deal with, to be perfectly honest. And if it's just angry eczema that I have to take an injection every 2 weeks, I can deal with an injection. I don't love the idea of taking a shot every 2 weeks, but I can handle it if that's what's necessary. The other one makes me more nervous because I don't like the term lymphoma. Who does? Even though it's not it's not a traditional lymphoma in the sense that it's just not. It is, but it isn't. So anyway, I want to read Psalms 121 because I've been reading it repeatedly and it brings calm to my heart, and maybe you have a reason that you need peace in your heart this morning, so I want to read it. I look up to the mountains. Where nope, I said it wrong right out of the gate. I didn't even read it right. I look up to the mountains. Does my help come from there? My help comes from the Lord, who made heaven and earth. He will not let you stumble. The one who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel never slumbers or sleeps. The Lord himself watches over you. The Lord stands beside you as your protective shade. The sun will not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord keeps you from all harm and watches over you. The Lord keeps watch over you as you come and go, both now and forever. If that is not a comforting psalm, I don't know what is. It just brings me peace. And so I hope the results come in today. He said there's a 50-50 chance they will come today. And if not, it will be Monday or Tuesday. And he said he will call me before the ink is dry on the printer. Even though it's a laser printer and it comes out dry, he said he'll call me before it finishes printing. I said to him, you need to listen to me right now. When that prints out those results, I don't care what you're doing, you're going to stop and call me. And he's like, I promise. Because I don't need you turning into a puddle for the entire weekend. And I'm like, I promise I won't. I promise I won't. I puddled for a few minutes and I'm unpuddled now. I'm fine now, but I'm praying and I'm reading that verse and it's just nerve-wracking. I knew it wasn't. I have tried a multitude of natural things. Creams. I have spent a fortune on things I have found online for miracle eczema treatments, and none of them have touched it. And so I had to go back to the prescription the doctor gave me, and as soon as I put that on, it burns, and within a day of putting it on, I have inflamed follicles, like major, like angry infected things on my legs. Just bumps just pop out and infect. And so anyway, I have 2 big fat holes in my legs and stitches, and I'm not thrilled about that. When he said, okay, get on the table, we're going to take some punch biopsies. I'm like, whoa, slow down. Punch biopsy does not sound good. What does that mean? And of course they numbed it, so I didn't feel it. But what he didn't tell me is that it would wake up hurting, aching. It's not natural to have holes punched in your legs. All right, you guys. So I am going to have breakfast. Listen, my breakfast this morning is very simple. I am having a sweet potato. That's what's on my inflammation menu this week. Whew, I get the hiccups. That is what is on my menu this week. It is another sweet potato with chicken. I do not have chicken, so I'm going to find another protein, maybe just protein in my coffee. I don't know. I don't know. I'll be live in hopefully 2 minutes to make a whole sweet potato. It'll take us all but 30 seconds to warm it up in the microwave, and then I'll be done. I gotta get rid of the hiccups first. So I hope to see you there for brekkie in just a few minutes. I love you all. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you soon.